It's finally here. The moment Brexit begins.
Frankly, it's going to be a horrendous negotiation.
For Irish food exporters, the stakes have never been higher.
There's a real sense of fear, of concern.
A bad deal for Britain will be a bad deal for Ireland.
Now, whatever deal comes back is not going to be 100% satisfactory. Now is the time to do the negotiations, not in 2 years' time when we have an unsatisfactory deal and we are collateral damage.
When East Coast Bakehouse opened its state-of-the-art biscuit factory in Drogheda, the plan had been to target the UK for 80% of its exports. But then Brexit happened. Owner Michael Carey, who is also chairman of Board Bia, has seen the threat up close.
The current position is uncertainty. Nobody knows what the outcome is going to be, and I think we have to plan for the worst possible outcome. We have to plan for all of the possible outcomes. There's a real worry that there will be even tariffs, barriers of all sorts, logistical problems, practical issues about moving product from one market to another. We need to work our way around that, and they are all real threats facing this industry.
These cookies will now follow a different path. The company is spending big on marketing them beyond the UK, selling more at home. But not every part of the food industry can be so nimble. And with almost 200,000 jobs reliant on the agri-food sector, there's no room for complacency.
It's just easier to do business in Britain than it is anywhere else in the world. To take food products into other markets where the tastes are so different is a much, much steeper hill to climb. And we can do it, and we know we can do it in our business. We can make our products suitable for those markets. But in some other categories that's more difficult. In cheddar cheese, for example, there's a huge market in the UK. 95% of all of the production in Ireland goes to the UK. They don't eat that sort of cheese in the south of France or in Spain. So it's not as easy just to say those companies are going to broaden their footprint.
Take a good look at the man taking his seat. You're going to see a lot more of him over the next 2 years. He's Michel Barnier, the EU's chief Brexit negotiator. And in Brussels last week, he laid down a very clear line to the UK.
But we must settle the accounts. No more, no less. We will not ask the British to pay a single euro for something they have not agreed to as a member.
The €60 billion Brexit bill could scupper negotiations before they begin in detail. It's what the EU reckons Britain owes on everything from salaries and pensions to projects the UK committed to funding while still a member. Many divorces get bitter when it comes to money. And in this divorce, if the UK ends worse off, so could we. Two former top Irish diplomats have two very different takes on our current dilemma.
If you're a member of a club, you have certain privileges. If you leave the club, you lose those privileges. It's not going to be possible for the UK to have the same privileges outside as it had inside the Union without paying any money. Were that to happen, that of course would encourage lots of other states to leave the European Union. And that's the last thing anybody in Europe wants.
The big question here is if Ireland's interests are the same as Europe's.
We may want to have a special deal with the UK which preserves our ability to export food. That may cut across the interests of France and may cut across the interests of the Netherlands. I think our relationship with the United Kingdom is close enough for us to be able to talk to the United Kingdom directly and to put together maybe an agreement that preserves as much of our present arrangements as possible. If we bring that to the European Union, it may conflict with some of the theology of the European Union. I think we should get our relationship with our most important trading partner right first, and then we see how we can fit that in with the European Union.
Many have looked for a silver lining in Brexit. One of the big hopes is that Dublin may benefit from the fracturing of London's grip on many of Europe's financial industries. Hannah Dwyer works for one of the big commercial real estate agencies. The cranes are back, but office space in prime parts of the city is still catching up with the impact of the crash.
The 5 years, there wasn't a single new office building that was delivered in Dublin. Corresponding to this, the vacancy rate fell from over 24% to under 8%. So that space that was constructed was actually being absorbed by a lot of demand that was coming into Dublin.
If Brexit does bring business our way, there will be limits to what we can absorb. And that's before the shortage of residential accommodation is considered.
So at the moment there's close to 3 million square feet of office space under construction, which is about 20,000 jobs, and this is the amount of space that we would normally see let in any 1 year. So in the last 3 years we've seen a similar figure of occupiers coming to Dublin and taking space. In addition to this, in the, I suppose, the medium term, there's an additional 3 years of supply that we're expecting to come on stream that's in various different planning stages.
Brexit has thrown up dozens of questions about borders, customs, tariffs and the freedom of movement. We're not about to get answers to any of these big questions, but we are approaching the point of no return. By triggering Article 50, the UK will begin the formal process of leaving the European Union. It is historic, and life for us here at the extremity of Europe will never be the same again. The EU has been credited with allowing Ireland to step out of the UK's shadow. That all worked fine when both countries were travelling in the same direction. Now, our paths will fundamentally diverge.
We're in a difficult space, but there's no doubt in my view that where we are is with the 27. And we were put into that position by the British. Were we to go with the British rather than with the 27, I think we would end up, historically, in a position not particularly different to the position we were in 40 years ago.
I think once Brexit occurred, there was a natural inclination in the government and in various circles to squash any implication that Ireland might go as well. Now, to anyone on the outside, it's an obvious question. So I think they said, we are going with Team EU, and no matter what the outcome of the negotiations, we're going to stick with Team EU. I think it was a mistake. I think it was too much of a knee-jerk reaction, because in any negotiations, you never say, no matter what the outcome is, I'm going to accept it.
Brexit will bite. Up to now, attention has rightly been focused on our food industry, with its thousands of jobs in every corner of Ireland. But from tomorrow, everything we have come to accept as normal in these islands will be placed on a negotiating table. Our future is up for grabs.